culture, we're moving to a Minyan. Right, so last week we started the topic of a Minyan. Who makes a Minyan? We said needs to be two adult men above 13 years old, and also that the body started to mature. And we said that as soon as, at least for a Minyan, since it's a rabbinical mitzvah, as soon as a boy is 13 years old, he came to the 13, it's already now 13 in one day or just 1 hour, he can join a Minyan already and he can be a chazan. Okay, so many times you see bar mitzvah kids, bar mitzvah boys, they had the birthday of 13 and will be the chazan for Mariv, the first prayer as a bar mitzvah. Okay, so that's, we mentioned that. Since we talked about, we're in Siman Nun Hey, 55, I'm skipping a bit and then we'll go back because we talked about bar mitzvah, the age of a bar mitzvah. And we have a very typical trivia question. Could we have twins that they were born from the same mother, but one of them will have a bar mitzvah before the other one? Yeah? If one was born before sunset and one was born after sunset, right? Could we have a case where the younger one is 20 minutes, let's say 20 minutes younger, he will have his bar mitzvah before the older one? Could it be an occasion? Now, I'm not talking about Yaakov who took the Bechorah from his father, from his brother, I mean. That could we have two siblings or twins?
A leap year?
Yeah, so a leap year, exactly, a leap year. In a leap year, we have 2 months of Adar, right? 2 months of Adar. So let's say one was born on the last day of the first Adar, the last day of the first Adar, and the second one was born just 20 minutes after him, and he is born in the first day of the second Adar. Okay? The bar mitzvah year happened to be, there's only one Adar. So the one who was born on the first, now his bar mitzvah goes to the first of Adar. So he'll have his bar mitzvah before the other kid. Okay, so his brother. So that could, it's interesting halacha. If it's the opposite, if we have only one Adar when they were born, the bar mitzvah will be, and the bar mitzvah year there's 2 Adars, so the bar mitzvah will be on the second Adar. Okay, so that's about an Adar. We have a Minyan, the early Minyan, and one person is just so wiped out. He made it to the early Minyan that he fell asleep. And we are only 10 people in shul. So we have 9 people who are awake and one who's asleep. Can he join a Minyan? Can he join a Minyan?
Is it asleep,
in a sleep status, yeah. Can you say now, do you have to wake him up? Okay, wake him up. So the best thing obviously will be to wake him up, right? To wake him up. Says the Shulchan Aruch, says Shulchan Aruch, that if we have, we'll read it inside. No. Says Shulchan Aruch that if you started to daven and then one fell asleep, so he still joins the Minyan, even if he's asleep. Why? Because we have 10 souls in the room. The Taz, okay, the Taz, Torei Zahav, he doesn't agree with the Shulchan Aruch, and he holds that if one person is sleeping, he doesn't have his mind is here, his soul is here, but his mind isn't here. And the Gemara mentions a few times we need de'ot, we need knowledges, the mind. Okay, so he doesn't join a Minyan. Therefore, lechatchila, for sure we should wake him up. And says the Mishnah Brura, at least to wake him up enough, even if he's not 100% focused, but he's more or less focused, that's fine. He says, Amen, it doesn't show, if he's, that's fine.
So you stood up here and you're giving it the Vartorah.
But Vartorah, people sometimes fall asleep. During the summer, I usually say Vartorah about 3 minutes. So there's not enough time to fall asleep during the summer. During the winter, so it's sometimes around 6 minutes, so depending on how fast we finished. We finished Kabbalat Shabbat. Do we have to leave the topic for afterwards? We have to wait for everyone to finish the Chazar. We'll leave that for afterwards. But since we already mentioned about the sleeping person, someone who's sleeping. What about we are exactly 10 people in the shul, and 6 people finish the davening. When can the Chazan start the Amida, Chazarat Hashas? When can he start the repetition? Does he have to wait until he has everyone in shul? Does he have to wait until the ones who daven for a long time, 8 minutes it takes him to finish the Amida? Does everyone have to wait and count the watches and see, wait, have 8 minutes passed, or we have to wait for them? So when can he start the Amida? So let's start from a case when we have just exactly 10 people. Lechatchila, the best is to wait for all of the other 9 people to finish the prayer, to finish the Amida. If for some reason the people are in a hurry and it's the early minyan of the morning and you have to look in the watch, 6:30, we have to be ready outside of the shul, there's a bus and then there's traffic. In any case, there's traffic. So you should wait at least, hopefully, the best is to wait at least for 10 people to finish on the Chazan plus 9. And if not, if people are in a hurry, so at least 6 people. Okay, so at least the Chazan plus 6. As we mentioned, if a person who's asleep, he joins the minyans, although his mind isn't here. If someone is davening, so they can't answer amen, but they're still part of the minyan. So you should have at least, so they can join the minyan although they're still davening. However, the Rosh writes, the Rishonim, like Rabbi Noashir, he writes that if there's a shul and these people are talking, people aren't paying attention, and the Chazan, he says a repetition, and there's not 9 people who respond and say Amen, Baruch Shmo and Amen. So he uses the term Karov birchotav liot levatala. His brachot aren't for no need. Okay, it's part of what Chazal told us to say, the Amida, the repetition, but it's close. It's almost like a brachot without any meaning. And the bracha of the Chazan is when he says the blessings and he has 9 people saying Amen. So the best thing is to have 9 people saying Amen. If people are in a hurry, so you can have 6 people, or him and 6 people saying Amen. So let's say we have 10 people. We have a shul of 100 people, right? So it's quite easy to get 10 people. How much do we need to wait? How much do we need to wait? Do you have to wait for everyone to finish? How much do we need to wait? And there's a halacha which isn't here in our place, but there's a halacha which is called tircha detzivua. You shouldn't make the community wait too much. And Chazal were very concerned about it. I think sometimes in our days, depends on where you are. In those days, every moment was very precious because think of how much labor they had to do in order to make this simple shirt. I'm not sure how many, probably tens of hours of weaving it by hand. And today you have a machine, and the machine makes it. And even when you have people have machines, they work with the machines, they have sewing machines. It's much, much easier to do things. When there's so much labor in working, even just a piece of bread, you grind it by hand, and it takes time, right? So every moment was precious. So Chazal are very, very concerned about wasting time. And even today, so some people feel, okay, we're comfortable, we can wait. But other communities feel that they're in a hurry. Our life is very tense. And especially if you live in Israel, depending where you live in Israel. But you're running from place to place. And so you don't need to wait for everyone. You need to wait for everyone when there's enough people in the community, and each community can decide how much is enough. But if it's close to 50% of the people in shul, so you can start already the repetition if you have 10 people who finished already. And in any case, it means you don't need to wait for the one who davens the slowest. As I have a tzaddik in the front, and he takes one of them. It's a community rabbi. So sometimes he davens slowly, and sometimes he'll just have a hand and tell the chazan, just don't wait for me. We're here on the regular weekdays, so I try more to keep a pace that will be more in the middle. On the one hand, it's davening. We don't want to just go. We just do like a machine. Okay, we press the buttons. Now we can go. We do want to daven. On the other hand, we don't want to have people waiting too much. So I try to daven in a pace which is, I wouldn't say average, but for this community, it's an average pace. One thing I say quite slowly, and that is Kriyat Shema. Kriyat Shema, and the reason is Kriyat Shema is midoraita. Okay, it's not like the davening, which is rabbinical, but Kriyat Shema is midoraita. And not sure if we'll get to it, but if we get to it in quite a few months, we should say each word in Shema and separate between letters which are similar. So Kriyat Shema I say slowly, and purposely I say Kriyat Shema slowly, so people know that's a mitzvah midoraita. We should pronounce each word as it should be pronounced. That I say slowly. The rest I have compared to the shul, so more or less an average pace. On Yamim Noraim, I like to daven slower, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And I'll tell the Rabbi, look, you start when you, don't wait for me. On Yamim Noraim, just whenever you think you can start, just start. And then they go by the community, and that's I think a good way to do it. You don't need to wait for everyone because people might be waiting, and okay, what should I do? I didn't make it up. Okay, it's Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva already. The Gemara says that when he davened with the shul, so he used to stand and daven with everyone. But if he happened to daven by himself, so he used to daven, and you would find him from bowing down and bending, and you'll find it, leave him one place and find him in another place. His davening was much, much longer. We can learn from Rabbi Akiva of the difference between davening in a shul and davening by yourself and being concerned about everyone else's time. Okay. In the WhatsApp, we asked a question. I asked a question, can people in 2 different rooms join a minyan? That was quite common during COVID, right? So can people in 2 different rooms can join a minyan? It's not just only 2 different rooms. Sometimes the shul has a few different sections. Let's say we have 9 people down here and 1 person upstairs. Does he join the minyan? Do we tell him, come down, be with us? If there's a person looking after his child and he doesn't want to be in the main shul because he's scared of the noise, so he's standing out here. It's the same building, but it's 2 separate rooms. Does he join the minyan or doesn't he join the minyan?
No matter whether they could hear the
Let's say he can hear him. He can hear him. But what about seeing each other, right? Or they have different. So let's look in the Shulchan Aruch, and that is quite a common halacha. Because many times we have, not so many times, but many times we have people who are out in the different places. I said to you a story when I lived in Beit El, we lived in a small neighborhood. We had a small shul. It's Friday, getting close to Shabbat, almost sunset, 9 people in shul, and then all of a sudden a group of soldiers arrived, but they had to stay out of shul, so they couldn't come in the shul. Make us a minyan. I can make a minyan, I can't come into the shul. So do they join or don't they join? Says the Shulchan Aruch, someone who stands out of or beforehand. It's obvious that all of the people davening need to be in one room. Okay, that's obvious. All of them need to be connected. A minyan, the whole idea of a minyan is not a davening, a prayer of an individual. It's a prayer of a community. A community is at least 10 people, and the community gathers with each other, and they join together. And we join by space. Right, I think maybe when we saw it very much, we joined my space, is that during COVID, we all of a sudden realized there's such a thing called Zoom, and with FaceTime, or whatever there was, and we started speaking to our family, and I can talk to you, I can see you, and some of us started making faces in Zoom and adding a mustache, and or other things that our kids sometimes did for us, and only after the Zoom ended and we had a serious talk, what's the background I have in my background here? Yes, I'm not sure if you have young people in your family who are up to mischief in your Zoom, but some of us did. I was actually in a talk. I had a lecture, and the person in the lecture, he gave a lecture of how to give a lecture in Zoom. And I knew the person giving it, and I knew he doesn't have a mustache. And the whole Zoom, I'm looking at he has a mustache. What happened? He started to grow a mustache. And then at the end of the Zoom, someone asked him, wait, did you start to grow a mustache? And then we realized that he had a filter that added the mustache. So that was a great example of how Zoom can change things, even if you know it. However, although we had Zoom, we realized how much really being in one room makes a difference. And being in one room brings us together. So the space is very, very important. So it's obvious that people join a minyan only if they are in one room. And then we have different questions. What happens if you have 9 in one room, but you can see the face? He's showing his face from the window. So he's not together with you, but you can see him. What happens if you have 2 rooms, one open to each other? What happens if you have a person at the door, standing at the door? Why? Because he has one ear inside, one ear outside on his kids. So these are questions we'll discuss. But it's obvious all of the 10 need to be inside one room. Let's start about showing the face. Says the Shulchan Aruch. If someone is in shul, there's 9 people in shul. Even if the shul is very tall, it's a shul in Azrieli, then open the shul in the top floor, there's a window there. And the building opposite him, there's another guy, and he can hear them, and he can also see them. If he shows them his face, he joins to 10 people. And so he joins to 10 people. So they have to see his face. Says the Rama, if you have 9 people in one room, and you have, let's say, there's Rat Nashim, and let's say you can't see him because he's tall, and there's the mechitza, there's the wall, you can't see him. Although it's in one building, it does not join to be one room, since each room is separated. Okay? So it's not enough to be in one building or in one area, they need to be in one room. If they're in 2 different rooms, even in 2 areas, but you can see the minyan, and the one person standing out of the room, he can see the minyan, and the people of the minyan can see him, so he joins the minyan. Okay? And during COVID, so I'm not sure all of the minyanim, I don't think all of them were 100% halachically great, but the best way to do a minyan during COVID is to have 9 people that they can see, or 10 people that they can see each other. It's not enough to have one here, and only one can see everyone. All of them need to see, or at least most of the minyan need to see each other. Okay. Right. What? Also join. Yeah, also join. Just I want to clarify. Also during COVID, if let's say you had 5 people here and 5 people here, and let's say you have to all the 5 to see all the 5, but you have to see some of them can see like everyone. Not all the someone here standing outside next to the window, right? So not all the 9 people need to be able to see him. It's enough that only a few from the shul can see him. So not all of the 9 people need to see him. But if let's say during COVID you have one end of the street, and it's like a chain. He can see the one next to him, and the one next to him can see the one next to him. But in the end, you can't see. There's no one there who sees everyone, so that's a problem. Okay, so it's enough that when some of the 10 can see the rest. Not all the 10 need to see the rest, but some of the 10 at least need to see the rest. If we have a minyan, that's also a very important halacha. As soon as we have a minyan, so then it doesn't matter where the rest are. So if we have 10 people here in the shul, and we have one after the 10, we have 11. The number 11 is Ezrat Hashem. Number 12 is outside. Number 13 is in the park, and we have a chazan with a loud voice, and he can hear the chazan, so he can join the minyan. He can daven with them. He can answer Amen Yeshmei Rabbah. He can answer Kedusha. As soon as we have 10 people in one place, then, as the Gemara says, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levin, the Gemara says, even a wall of an iron wall, okay, even an iron wall doesn't separate between Am Yisrael, the nation of Israel, and our Father in heaven. Okay, so as soon as we have a minyan and there's the divine presence here with us, with the community, nothing stops us. So if you can hear someone who's saying Amen and Yeshmei Rabbah and so on, you can answer. Let's bring another halacha, although it's not 100% connected to here. That was also common during COVID and even common today. I'll give you an example from today. Where I was in base, so we didn't always have a minyan for Mariv. Depending on who was in base and who was in missions, we didn't always have a minyan for Mariv or even for Shachrit. So some of the soldiers got a great idea. I didn't know that, but there's a halacha, kav halacha Sfaradi. You call a certain number, and at a certain times during the day, they have a minyan of Mariv, and they stream it on live, so you can hear on live the minyan which is happening. I'm not sure where it is, in Jerusalem, wherever it is. that they have a minyan there. You know exactly in that moment, because it's streamed on live, you know what they're saying. And then when they're in the Amida, you know they're in the Amida. When they say Kaddish, you know now they're in Kaddish. You can answer Kaddish, you can answer Kedusha, you can answer Baruch. They don't hear you. They have a minyan. Okay, as soon as we have a minyan, and you know what they are saying, what bracha they are saying, you can answer the bracha.
But you can join that, but you don't count to it.
I don't count to 10, but if they have 10, I can be number 12 or 13 or 11. Okay, so that was a very common thing people did in COVID. That's you can join. You can't be motzi, or you can't read the Megillah. Probably can't read the Megillah on Zoom. You can't say Havdalah. Okay, you can't read the Megillah on Zoom. You can't hear the shofar on Zoom. But if you know what they're answering, you can say with them. Where does it come from? It comes from a huge shul that was in Alexandria in Egypt. So there was such a big shul. And interesting time in history exactly when it happened, but somewhere there around the Second Temple, there was a big community in Egypt. And the shul was so big, not everyone heard the chazan. So what do you do when you don't hear the chazan? They used to have flags, right? Sometimes you have now laugh, now clap your hands. So they had a big flag, red flag says say amen, yellow flag, and people they counted. Okay, if it's now the third amen, so obviously we just finished now Had'achat, right? And people knew what bracha the chazan was saying. Since they knew what bracha the chazan was saying, although they didn't hear him, so they could say amen, because next to the chazan there was a minyan. That's fine. They knew what the chazan was saying, they can answer amen. So also here in Zoom, we know exactly what the chazan is saying. I don't count to a minyan, I can't be one of the 10, but I can answer on what he is saying. So that's a very common halacha. If you don't have a minyan, you can find one of those lines. During COVID also I used it a few times, especially the people who felt that it wasn't safe for them to go back to shul. So I used to put my phone on Zoom and share the link with people, and people just joined the minyan on Zoom.
That would not work on Shabbat and Yom.
It didn't work for Shabbat and Yom Tov, right? You can't do it for Shabbat and Yom Tov. The Shulchan Aruch here goes to a question which it's not so relevant for us because it's not built so much today. If you have 9 people in one room and there's a room connected and it's a big room with a small room, so we aren't going to go to it. Just know that it's better that all of the 10 people should be in one room. Okay, that's all 10 people should be in one room.
But these days, when you have a shomer outside, with neshek,
Yeah.
so he counts.
If you have a guard outside
Yeah.
and you have exactly 9 in the shul, so if you can't see him, it's a problem, and he does not join the minyan. But if at least some of the 10 people can see him, so he joins the minyan. Okay, he joins the minyan. Now I bring here a halacha, which also isn't so relevant for us. You'll see soon why, but it's a halacha which shows the importance of a minyan. The importance of a minyan. So we are towards the end of the halacha of a minyan. And says the Shulchan Aruch, what happens if we have exactly 10 people in the city? It's a very small community. Australians say in the middle of whoop whoop. I'm not sure what Americans say in the middle of nowhere, right? It's in the west, go west, right? So there's 10 people for minyan. And come the Hagim, the days of awe, and one of the person says, wait, it's a family, I want to visit my parents, I haven't seen them for a long time. If he leaves, there won't be a minyan. So what do? Is he allowed to leave or can't he leave? And says the Shulchan Aruch, a city that has only 10 people and one of them wants to leave, so the rest, the 9 people, can tell him, you have to or stay here or hire someone, pay someone to come to be the 10th person. I think there's a nice song of, Shlokok, I think the name is 10th person in the minyan. The Minyan man, yeah, the Minyan man. No, if he wants to leave. If he wants to leave, so he has to pay and find someone. He has to pay for someone to hire him. He has a responsibility to be in town. He needs to be in town. he teaches us about the responsibility of a community. If someone is part of the community, he gains from the community, and yes, also has obligations for the community. And part of an obligation for a community is making sure there's a minyan. If you want to leave, so now you're off duty. So find someone to replace you.
So a community, they had 11 people. One of them left. There was no minyan.
So I have to share us the joke afterwards on WhatsApp if you forget it. Okay, so what's happening? What if
people on a new member came to town? So now there were 11. The next day there was no minyan.
Yeah, everyone counted on that one at that point. Yeah. So says the Shulchan Aruch, if there are 11, and 2 of them want to leave, so split up the cost between them. If hiring someone will cost 200 shekels, each one will bring 100 shekels. And he goes into here about what happens if one is wealthy, one isn't wealthy, how do you calculate it? We aren't going to go into it now. Okay, just want to show from here how important it is to have a minyan. Says the Shulchan Aruch, we force people to stay only for Yamim Noraim, only for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Otherwise, it's probably too hard for the community. Where they just stand. I just want to go for business. I can't even go to do business. So only for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they would force people to have an obligation, unless there's a known custom in the city that for all of the Shabbatot, all the weekdays, we want to have a minyan, and then we make sure there's a minyan. And the Rama says also if there's let's say the community of 20 people, but some people are a bit lazy and don't want to sleep in, so you can cause people or force people, tell them you have to come to shul, you have an obligation to the community. Part of the obligation is making sure we have a minyan. So it's true that you want to sleep in, we need to make sure we have a minyan. So you can see how the rabbis saw a minyan not just of a personal place. Now I can say Kedusha, now I can say Amen. It's not something just personal. It's part of a community, and each one he benefits from the community, and we have an obligation for the community. And Am Yisrael, what defines us as a nation is being a nation, and being a nation means that we aren't just private people. We also think about the community, right? So that's a very important aspect of Judaism, of thinking also about the community. Halacha, we have another minute and a half, so it's fine. Do we have in out of Israel, or in the past, also in Israel, it was very common to have a chazan, a cantor, right? And the community used to pay, or still pay sometimes, for a cantor, especially when not everyone knows how to read. So you can't have davening when not everyone knows how to read, so at least hire a chazan. So you also have to hire a chazan. Tefillah, davening is a very important part of a Jewish life. And if not everyone knows, if you don't have a chazan from the community, so hire someone to be a chazan, and people should pay for it to be a chazan. I'll read here one thing from Mishnah Berurah, if I find it fast. If not, so we'll just say it. What happens if the community has enough money to hire a chazan or to hire a rabbi to teach Torah? What comes first? What is it? Torah. Okay, exactly. So Torah comes first. Although davening is very, very important, Torah in the end affects so many parts of our life. So also that's very, very important. So we talked about the importance of davening, and we ended it also with the importance of Torah.